The reason they're trying to prevent a war, the U.S. is, because if the U.S. gets trapped in the Middle East, in a conventional war, we all know the U.S. wins. But this will not be a conventional war. It will be asymmetric guerrilla warfare. And that's gonna be a trap, a death trap for the U.S., 1,000 times worse than the Iraq War. Now, here's the thing. The U.S. can't afford it. It doesn't have the morale in terms of the civilian population to want that. It doesn't have the willpower. It doesn't have the spiritual willingness. But then the most important reason, if the U.S. gets trapped in the Middle East, guess what? Russia and China dominate the world immediately. The U.S. gets trapped in the Middle East. Not only will its economy collapse, not only will there be domestic civil unrest, not only will they be trapped fighting an asymmetric guerrilla war, China will straight up dominate. And there's nothing the U.S. can do about it. America cannot fight a war on a million fronts. So China will just go take Taiwan. It's already theirs. Russia will accelerate what it's doing in Ukraine. And hopefully Russia will take care of those ugly chihuahuas, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And it's fucking over for NATO. And the U.S. knows that. But here's the thing. The ground invasion was delayed. Why? So here is why the U.S., this is a longer version, then I'm going to give you the TLDR, because inside sources confirm the real reason. The U.S. prevented Israel from doing a ground invasion is because of Hezbollah. That was the official reason, and the U.S. is the one making sure they don't do it.
If Hezbollah gets in,
Hezbollah,
Israel will have no choice but to unleash the Air Force. If they unleash the
You're not from the region. I don't care if you're Assyrian. I don't care if you're a Mizrahi Jew. I don't care if you're, even if you're Kurdish. I don't care what. Kurds are not Semitic, but regardless, they're acclimated enough to the region to know Hezbollah. Hezbollah. It's not Hez. That's fake. Just pronounce it in the normal Latin. I don't know what this, Cha and Ha are not equivalent. That's not native to the region. Jews who are native to the region pronounce it as Hezbollah, okay? So you're LARPing, Ben Shapiro. Stop LARPing. It's fucking cringe.
Simply going to have to eviscerate the entire south of Lebanon and topple the regime in Lebanon that supports Hezbollah. If that happens, Iran undoubtedly gets in, and so does Syria. If that happens, and Israel is now faced with a full war in the north, combined with a war in the south, because they will not have defeated Hamas, that's the predicate. If Israel is forced to the wall, the possibility of nuclear exchange is extremely high.
He's admitting the real reason. Yeah, this is fake, by the way. Actually, Ben, there's no possibility of nuclear exchange because Israel will never use the Samson option. They never will. It's a bluff. These motherfuckers are not ready to die for Zionism. They love life too much. They're not going to die for anything. The ones in power, there's some crazy fanatical settlers who will die, sure. But in power in government, no one in the Mossad or the high command of the IDF will die for the cause of Zionism. They are too scared to die because they're fucking cowards. And that's the simple truth. There will be no possibility of nuclear exchange. From America, yes, not from the Zionist entity.
That is why it is very important that the United States provide the material aid to Israel.
What Ben Shapiro said is a signal of Israel's weakness. Again, I'm here analyzing and not wishful thinking.
I didn't know this guy was gonna pop up, but well, let's listen to him.
Since the creation of Israel in 1948, Arabic countries suffered one humiliation after another at the hands of the superior Israeli army, backed by financial, military, and intelligence support from the United States. The previous defeats have crushed the morale of the general public in the Arab world and installed the conviction in their subconscious that Israel has an invincible army. However, this started to change in 2000 when Israel was forced to withdraw from Lebanon after 15 years of occupation, and it took a radical turn in 2006 when Israel admitted its defeat in the war to a handful of Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon and was forced to withdraw again. Since 2006,
I remember that, and let me just say, that was lit as fuck. I didn't even know what was going on. I was, 10 years old? I was 10 years old. But that shit was lit, all right? I remember that shit. That shit was lit. The celebrations, that shit was lit as fuck, all right? I remember that shit.
Hezbollah is no longer a militia. It's a big army with over 100,000 soldiers who gained combat experience in Syria since 2012, while fighting against the most vicious terror groups such as ISIS and Al-Nusra Front. Anyone who doesn't explain this context doesn't want you to know the reason behind the shift in public consciousness in the Arab world, and how smaller armed groups such as Hamas dare to be on the offensive rather than sitting in Gaza and firing rockets on the settlements. That's why it is important for the Israeli side to sideline Hezbollah from this conflict in Gaza, because Tel Aviv knows the Lebanese group is capable of neutralizing all Israeli air bases and ports.
Look, guys, the Zionist regime admitted Hezbollah has more fucking missiles than all of Europe combined. That's according to them, not me. That's what they said. They said Hezbollah's arsenal is more powerful than all of Europe combined, which that's crazy if true. But that's what they claim. That's what the media in Israel. So this is not, this is a real army. This is the real army of the region.
Which explains the presence of 2 American aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean and the threats of Israeli officials.
It's interesting, the evolution of warfare. Because someone mentioned Wagner in the chat. It's like these irregular militaries are becoming more powerful than conventional militaries. And it's super cool. It's like Hezbollah, Wagner. I mean, Wagner's on a much, much smaller scale. But it's like, these are unconventional type of militaries. So interesting how that works.
Unleash the nuclear weapons on its neighboring countries. This Israeli hysteria is unprecedented in my opinion, and it may also explain the delay in the anticipated ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, which was blamed on the bad weather, as claimed by Israel.
And now it's officially confirmed that it was actually about Hezbollah. So according to the Jerusalem Post, one factor that's delayed the ground invasion is a growing concern that Hezbollah is waiting for the moment that most of Israel's ground forces are committed in Gaza to open a full front with the Israeli army to the north. So that was officially confirmed. And you know what I think? I think the Zionist entity, they're so stupid that the U.S. had to tell them that. I think they were prepared to do it, and then Biden called up Netanyahu and goes, listen, Netanyahu, I know I'm somewhat of a retard who has like 0 brain cells and is like pretty much senile, but I have to tell you, you must be the most dumb motherfucker in the history of the world to think that it's a smart idea to go into Gaza right now. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I'm pretty sure this was America putting the leash on their rabid dog, telling them, hey, you're acting like a retard right now. This is not smart. Definitely not smart. But look at this. At the same time, Israel's been bombing. This is all Israel does. This is all they do. All they fucking do is bomb from a distance. They will never have skin in the game and send people to fight. That's not what they do. What they do is send missiles and bomb from a distance. And that era of warfare is coming to an end, as you're gonna fucking see. Just like in Stalingrad, when the Red Army did everything it could to get up close and personal to the Wehrmacht, the Axis of Resistance is gonna get up close and personal with the IDF at all costs. No more of this nonsense of just bombing from a distance and that's it. That's not how warfare is going to work anymore. It's not tenable. It's not sustainable. Let me tell you guys something. I believe actually there is always, in the last instance, justice in warfare. Warfare gives expression to a form of justice. A coward who tries to fight war without fighting war, it's never been possible in the history of warfare without having skin in the game. No, war is war. You want to fight a war? You're in the war. You're in the thick of it. The whole IDF operational strategy or I don't know what to call it, their modus operandi. I remember reading about this in like 2009. It was like IDF wants to fight wars while having it so the soldiers are not endangered at all, because it destroys their morale because they're not willing to die. So like the whole purpose of Israel's strategy when it comes to war is to fight the war without being in the war. And that you could see the results of that. It's a total fuck. And the US thinks they can fight similar wars. Not gonna happen. War will always force its participants to have skin in the game, one way or another.